I want to talk about the unsung hero of this movie.
Ooh, oh, okay.
The delivery, the performance, its story arc. Drone 166, man.
This week, we are discussing the 2013 film Oblivion, directed by Joseph Kosinski, screenplay written by Karl Gajdusek?
Gajdusek?
What is it?
Gajdusek?
Gajdusek? Just destroyed. And Michael Arndt. Based on the graphic novel story by Joseph Kosinski, starring Tom Cruise, Morgan Freeman, Olga Kurylenko, Andrea Riseborough, and many more.
A couple more, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a small cast.
It's a pretty small cast.
Which I like. We'll get into it.
Yeah. Before we jump into our movie today, we wanted to remind you to please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on an episode.
And remember, if you want to join the conversation, follow us on all socials at Reel Chums. And if at the end you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you left a review, if you're able to. It helps us really. It really helps us get discovered.
We are reminding you that we will be taking a break in December and returning in mid-January with new episodes. There will be a weekly release during our break, but they'll all be previous episodes because we want to
keep you all engaged.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks. And then we will also be sharing some details through social and here about an upcoming launch for Patreon.
Yes. So make sure you're following us on all the socials. We'll have more details there probably in the next coming weeks.
Yes. Make sure you're checking out the description. There, we may have built out our place to sign up for our newsletter if you want to get direct access to that information first before social. And we'd love to have you in that community because we want to make this a place where we're interacting and we get to connect with you on a more personal and provide you other content that we've been wanting to do. And this would just help us provide that.
Yeah, exactly. One last thing I forgot to mention. Over the next couple of weeks, our first episode of the year is going to be a best of 2023. So we're going to have a survey on our socials for you to go in. We're going to do like categories of like best movie according to you listeners. So you got to make sure you vote. And we're going to have like some quirky like categories. Just
Love
like
it.
Fun stuff. And we'll talk about it. We'll give our opinions, give your opinions, but keep an eye on that as well. We want to hear from you on that. With that said, let's jump into it. Do you have a question? I think I have one.
Yeah, give it to me.
Okay. So we're talking Oblivion. If you were part of the Oblivion world, and spoiler alerts, you were cloned. Okay.
Why would you do this to us? As you know, we give out spoilers left and right.
Yeah.
With no care in the world.
No care. Which quadrant would you want to live in between quadrant 49, the Sky Tower, okay, that Jack lives in, or the other one that was like on top of like a cliff or a ridge?
Yeah. Which one of those two?
Which of those two would you prefer?
49.
49, okay.
Without a doubt.
Good. Yeah, I think I want to say 49 as well. There's a part of me that has like a fear of heights.
I get that.
Also, the idea of like this tower, just like that, whatever's holding it is like very like narrow.
Okay, fun fact. We're gonna get into this. Kosinski Joseph is actually an interior or an architect.
Yeah, he has a background in design architect.
Yeah, design architect.
Yeah.
And so he specifically designed those the housing, all the like things that are in this movie, which I think really set the tone.
Oh yeah.
For originality in this aspect, because I kind of want you haven't seen the creator.
Not yet.
But I've seen the creator.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I like both of these movies are original stories. And both of them have there's a director who has a very stylistic choice and like moving forward. And both of them, like they're small crews where one went super big on like the post-production side. This one took a very specific approach, which, really pays off. So I don't know can we just start there?
Let's do it. Let's jump into it.
Let's give us an overview. What's your plot synopsis for your movie synopsis for
Oblivion? So 60 years after an alleged alien invasion. Jack Harper is what you would call, I guess, like a modern day blue collar worker. But he and his
Communication specialist,
Vika, have been tasked with the maintenance of these massive machines that are pulling water and pulling out the air, the hydrogen out of them, that they're going to be sending out to a colony out in Titan, one of the moons in Jupiter. And above Earth is the Tet, where some of humanity is supposedly there. And they have a communications manager there that's communicating and giving out tasks. They've got 2 weeks left before their 5-year mission ends, and they all get to go back to Titan.
Yay!
Or go not back, but go to Titan. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's been a while.
It's been a while. I love this movie.
This is a really great movie.
I remember when it came out. This is one of those movies that like, was ruined by the trailer.
Okay.
Because the trailer kind of like gave away like the scabs.
Yeah.
A bit with Morgan Freeman coming in.
Yeah.
Into the trailer.
That would be hard. Trailers have come a long way.
Yeah.
So I don't blame, like I don't harp them, but I can see that. This is a movie that I actually didn't know about because it kind of came out, I think, early in when I was still on my mission.
Okay.
So this is still part of the blip. You check it. I can't remember what episode. I'll have to find it, but check out that episode. I think it might have been like episode 10 or something like that, where we talk about our blips. So I had watched this really far out after it had been out. So it'd been out a while. I was like, oh, I'll check out Oblivion. And I was kind of sad that I didn't get to see this in theater because it would have been like glorious.
I saw it in theaters. It was great. What's so great? So this came out. We're revisiting this mainly because it came out 10 years ago in April, and it's such the landscape. Let's look back at 2013. We've done a couple movies on our podcast from 2013.
Yeah.
So this is This is a year after Avengers.
Yeah.
This is also the same year where Iron Man 3 came out. So we're ramping up into phase 2 of the MCU. We talked about Star Trek.
Yep.
The second Star Trek came out this year.
Man of Steel
came out. So you have Warner Brothers that's kind of getting into this new shared universe. This is a year before. Is it a year before? When did Star Wars come out? Force Awakens, 2014?
I think so.
So this is a year or two before Star Wars comes out. So like we're living in this movie was released in the middle of like this IP environment that these studios have, right? The big major IPs that they own.
Especially like sci-fi.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, look, we got, I mean, the only other sci-fi film that I would say that, I mean, I guess Pacific Rim, but that was a graphic novel. No, that was original.
That was
right,
original.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have Pacific Rim, but
when did that come out? 2012?
I don't know when it came out. I'm trying to. I'll see if I can. I don't have an actual breakdown of when it came out. I should know it was a popular movie in 2013, right? But you had it
2013, same year.
But Pacific Rim bombed. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was like, but it's become a cult classic for a lot of people who like that love it, right? I'm trying to think of another. See if there's another like. I don't know. There's a Jason Statham that's called Hummingbird. I've never heard of that. Yeah, like everything else is action oriented, like not any sci-fi.
Yeah, which again, like what a unique original concept. Yeah. Which Joseph Kosinski, the director. Do you know the story about this?
Yeah, so he had written it as a graphic novel initially. Had issues publishing it.
Yeah.
So and then I'm not exactly sure. You might know this, but I don't know what the breakdown was. But essentially, decided to got a greenlit as a movie instead.
Yeah. So viewers and listeners who may not know Joseph Kosinski, he's the director of Tron Legacy.
Yes, that's right.
And he had pitched Oblivion to Disney, actually.
Oh.
And Disney actually bought the rights for it.
Oh.
And it was one of those classic, do this for us, and we'll buy your movie and you can do your movie, right? So that's kind of how he got in the deal. There isn't a lot of information on like what happened, but it is documented that Disney wanted it to be a PG movie.
Oh, that's right.
And so like he kind of had issues and he didn't like it, and again, this is Disney pre-buying Marvel and Star Wars. So like
they hadn't
it's a very different Disney from what we know today, right?
Correct.
Eventually they sold the rights. 20th Century Fox showed interest, Universal and Paramount, and eventually went to Universal, who came in. Tom saw it and he's like, yeah, I want to get involved in this, and then he kind of got it going, which started the great relationship between him, Joseph Kosinski, which Top Gun Joseph then would go and direct Tom again in Top Gun.
No,
Maverick.
100%. And Tom has been very vocal about the fact that like he was really impressed with Kosinski's like take and how he went his filmmaking approach, which I think led to a huge success for Maverick.
For Maverick, yeah.
I mean, not that it wouldn't have been huge, but the way they decided, like, I think, like we talked about, like right at the beginning, right? Kosinski he comes from a background of design architecture, where it's very elegant, very like he comes in and he provides real ideas, and then people then purchase those or like move forward, right? So he has a very artistic, stylistic, and understanding of like what he wants.
Yeah, a very innovative style, right?
Yeah, and I think that like because of that characteristic and those skills, not only hard skills but soft skills that are gained from that sort of career, coming into filmmaking is a huge plus. And with a producer / actor like Tom, they made such a wonderful pair that like using real practical things, using tools like the Sony Venice that has a decoupled brain and camera system. Do you know about this?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So every single scene in the cockpit is actually every operator, like every person
in Maverick.
In Maverick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have the camera inside the cockpit, and they had to learn to operate
how to operate it. Yeah.
Because it was separate, but they had to. That's the way they wanted to do the film, and it just those are the things that I think like are impacted by these two individuals because they worked on this other film.
I love that you bring that. I love this comparison between Maverick, because I think Kosinski is really good at wanting to bring a level of surrealism to all of his projects, even something like a Tron Legacy, right? So we talked about the Sky Tower here.
Yeah.
So they went out, they built that out, and they originally wanted they originally used a blue screen, and they were going to project everything, but then they realized that the blue screen wasn't giving them the effect. It was too wavy when they were trying to have the image of the landscaping or the sunset or the sunrise.
Right.
So what they ended up doing, they went out to Hawaii, they got on top of a volcano, and they shot a whole week's worth of footage of sunrises, sunsets. Just left the camera there, and then here's the cool part. They grabbed hundreds of LED screens, projected that, and that's where the volume originally came from.
Interesting.
So the volume that we all know now, where the Mandalorian's filmed and Book of Boba Fett, that
we all consider connected to the Mandalorian, came from
this. This was the original like concept of it. He just So what we're seeing in those scenes of Tom walking around in the Sky Tower, you have the beautiful the sunset and sunrise. That's all just LED screens that they leveraged, and then eventually the volume evolved out of that. So I love the idea of like, we can't put a Sky Tower in the middle of the sky, so we're gonna go out and take real footage, and we're gonna try to make it as surreal or as realistic as possible by putting these LED cameras or these LED screens and just kind of projecting the ambiance through these shots.
The other thing that I know is that like Tom, because he's a pilot,
yeah,
he and Kosinski like worked and collaborated on the actual plane that they crafted, and they semi-built it, so they could get some aspects of it for again realism. Which to me, this movie is so good. I think. Okay, let me finish my thoughts. So the fact that they like had this collaboration and like having the futuristic elements, because normally most sci-fi, they're gonna go straight digital. I love there's still like this little analogness, because you have the computer with the touchscreen, which is very 2013. I'm not gonna lie.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, no, not from 20, but like what the future was in 2013.
Okay. What do you prefer? Do you prefer like the Minority Report style of like?
That's a hard call. I like them both.
Yeah.
I think that like Oblivion feels more realistic in a sci-fi.
Yeah. Okay.
Minority Report for a long time didn't feel realistic until freaking Apple Vision Pro.
Right. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
And they don't even have gloves. They just literally just do it. They just we invented computers to track your hands. Like, it wasn't until the Apple Vision Pro that I was like, oh, we're never gonna have that.
Oh, we're never gonna have that. Yeah.
But I fully believe that we'll get to a point where we'll have like human computing, like we will operate computers with our like hands. Our hands, or like biometric bio gestures, right? That help with doing whatever you need to do.
Okay, all right. But we're talking about the table.
Yeah. So into the aspect. So I just love. I think what this comes down to is that this movie is a phenomenal use case that, like, if you're going to go original, or if as you try to do things that are original, sometimes you have to sacrifice certain things, but you should always focus on the things that bring the greatest impact. The 80-20 rule, right? I feel like they focused on the 20% of creating a film and a world. They created a world that for you to feel like this is real, that would stay this way for a long time period. And you could come back and rewatch this film and love it every single time and wish you knew more about the world.
I love that. I love the story, the world building in this movie. I think of there's a lot of movies that start out with this exposition.
Yes.
There's something about this movie that I just love the exposition in it. I love the voiceover from Tom talking about like what happened. I think I exited. I pulled up the screenplay, and just like that opening monologue that he has, right?
Yeah, give it to me.
I just want to read it because I love the exposition here.
Give it to me.
So he says, the voiceover, Jack, they arrived almost half a century ago. Aliens, scabs, whatever you want to call them. Their idea of how do you do was to blow up our moon. Without her moon, the Earth went insane. Most were killed in the floods as the cities came down, as everything caught fire. A year later, their ground troops landed to exterminate whoever was left. They were probably surprised what we were willing to do to survive. We used the nuke. We won the war, but lost the planet. Humanity had to flee the Earth. We had to unlearn what it meant to call something our home. Now we live on the Tet, our man-made moon, a temporary home before the next step. Everyone's there now. I love the decision as well. Me, if I saw this and the script and as a director, I'd be like, yes, let me add description of like the aliens arriving. Even though we know it's fake, I want to misdirect the audience by maybe showing like destruction, or the moon actually getting blown up.
Yeah,
right. Like, I would be that director who wouldn't be able to control himself or have the self control to be like, no, we're not going to show it. We're gonna instead we're gonna have a voiceover, not show any of the destruction. We're just gonna see the aftermath. Why do you think that decision? Why do you think it was made, and why is it so good? If it's good or not, do you like it?
I do like this. I do like it. It's a good question. You know, I think for me, what I love about this is that, like you said, that you want. Okay, two things that I think come in. One is, I think, budget / like what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I actually don't know the budget. So you find the budget. I'm going to continue talking. So it could be budget. You know, like they had to make sacrifice or whatever. But I think the other aspect of this is that Kosinski really already had this idea in a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to play this out over a perspective, right? And I think that in you know, like you said, he could have showed a lot of this aspect.
Yeah.
But the fact that they went with the exposition and showcased the aftermath, I think for us, and not only that, but like then we get introduced into the character, right? We hear his voiceover. We have these little glimpses of like a world.
Yeah.
And then our minds were erased. And we have these understanding of like, well, why was the mind erased? We have all these questions that start popping in our mind that feel like plot holes. Okay? So we start asking these ourselves questions, and then it sets up us as an audience to be connected to Tom's character.
Yeah.
That's the why I think what this is doing.
And it's done so well, and it hits great. It's 120 million, the budget.
I mean, that's a pretty solid. I mean, 80 million was for the creator, so like, I mean, that's a good perspective, right? But let me ask, what is it for you that this exposition lands so well?
I think it's the opportunity we have to introduce Jack, the character, and the voiceover isn't so much a look, here's what's happened. Yeah, it's that, but it's more of, I'm yearning for something. We're about to leave, and especially the line that says, we have to unlearn everything of what we think is home, right? And we're going to be leaving soon, right? And I love the decision to, instead of showing what happened, we see what is now and the effects and the landscape of Earth, right? At this point, I don't need to see the damage or how the damage came to be. It has a beautiful shot of the moon, right?
Dude,
destroyed. It looks so good. So good. Beautiful shot of the moon destroyed. That's enough for me to know.
Yeah.
Instead, you're now, like you said, you're planting these seeds of plot holes, of me now questioning or asking questions of where are we going with this and what really did happen.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's a great way to introduce the movie, the character, and our plot.
I love that you said that it is an introduction to character. I don't think I thought about it that way, but it 100% is in a non-traditional way. Like, we're not seeing, like, people would say, oh, you know, we get introduced to the character when we first, you know, see him on camera. Yeah, traditionally that's that's what it is. But we're Tom delivers the voiceover.
Yeah.
So well. And I mean, you know, like, maybe Kosinski comes in and, you know, is like, look, hey, this is what I want you to do. And even think about it now, like the setup that happens with this opening monologue helps to give us the better payoff.
Yes.
For the ending.
With the other voiceover at the end.
Yeah.
Right? It's so good. And I think that's why I love the exposition here. And I think a lot of times, right, especially in sci-fi movies, you're having to establish this world.
Yeah.
That sometimes the exposition just kind of
it gets too not overwhelming.
It maybe not necessarily overwhelming, but like it isn't executed as efficient, right? For example, we a couple of weeks ago we did A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
And that movie, all of its exposition is done through newspapers, the one room that John Krasinski's character is in the basement and he has the whiteboard. Like all your exposition is done through questions because that's how humans like think, right? Aliens, big question mark, right? Like, the exposition there is just not my favorite.
Yeah.
Right. But I get it. Like you're trying to explain these aliens in a movie where you can't talk, right? You could have done a voiceover. They didn't.
Right.
But here it's perfect, and you don't go the Star Wars way where you have 5 paragraphs of exposition, right? Instead, you go through a voiceover, not showing us the actual attacks, but showing us the aftermath of it 60 years later, and introducing this character of Jack. I love it. It's really one of my favorite like exposition moments in all films.
Yeah, no, exposition is hard. Look, you it's a necessary thing that you have to do. I think you always have to ask yourself the question, like, is what I need to write here? What is enough for me to write? What are the things I do want to show to help, or that I can show that I don't need exposition for? How can I leverage the exposition to help benefit my story? These are the things you should be asking yourself as a filmmaker.
I like that.
When it comes to exposition. And that's what I think we learned from this film. All right. With this, because I think that this opening exposition helps portray the concept of memory and how memory plays a crucial role in the character's understanding of who they are. How is memory treated in the movie, and what does it say about identity?
Oh, I love that. So memory obviously plays a big role, right? He's having these flashbacks of what he thinks are dreams, maybe memories. I think this idea of who we are, and especially the movie then introduces the concept of cloning, right? And is Jack really Jack?
Yeah.
Right? And there's a line, did I write it down? Let me see. It's when he takes her to his little house by the lake, right? And she kind of reassures him, like, no, you are him, right? And this concept of what makes us who we are. And I think we talked about this in one of our other episodes, but this idea that experiences create memories, and therefore memories give us our identity.
Was this the Mission Impossible 3? Or in Dead Reckoning? No, I don't think it was.
I think it was that.
It's okay. It was, I remember this a little bit.
But I think this movie does that really well, right?
Yeah.
The idea that there are multiple Jacks, 50-something possibly out there, Jacks. But what makes Jack Harper Tech 49 unique is that he believes that he has these memories, right? That then connect him to Julia, and he has, how do I want to say this? He has this inquisitive nature to him that then leads him to make those changes as a character, and that's where his identity comes from. Yes, the memories, what he kind of fragments together and puts those pieces together, but it's because of his memory, his experiences with Julia, is what then lets him move forward as a character. And essentially what makes him make the biggest sacrifice at the end, right? And see his character grow. And I think that's what's unique about this movie, is that it ties and brings these themes of identity and who are we as individuals, but as humans. I kind of wish we would have dug a little bit more into it through Morgan Freeman's character of who is Jack, as an individual, but what are humans as a species and as a civilization? We didn't get that, and I don't think the movie wanted to get there.
I mean, I think that I think that Kosinski wanted to. Like, he wanted this to be a graphic novel. He wanted this to be something that maybe it was going to be 3 volumes, right? Like, he does a three arc structure in this thing, and we make it. Maybe we'll get something else, another movie, right, sometime. But what I love about this is that they did everything they can to make a movie that feels really strong. I mean, there's a couple moments, and we might talk about them, but to me, for the most part, I like I think there's a lot of cloning movies that come into place with sci-fi and things like that. That like this idea of like transferring consciences, your conscience, and like who like this, you're still the same person or whatever, right? But I love this idea that like that there's two levels, right? For what, and it's particularly for like Jack's, for Tech 49, and Tech 52, that we see that they're similar people despite being like ideally in a if you're looking at cloning, right? The idea is that you can create these things, take the best characters of the individual, and then take the things that you don't want and
create your perfect specimen.
But I love that because of the memories, because of circumstance, that you end up getting this feeling like you learn that his mind can't stop thinking. Right? Can't stop observing and experiencing. I love the line that he always, do you want to come down?
Oh yeah. He always invites her, right? To like check out the surface.
Yeah. And I think my favorite part of it that just like hits home is when he impersonates 52. And he goes to get the medical supplies for Julie, right? And that scene's kind of tenseful.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. I don't think it's my favorite scene. I don't know what I've been trying to think what my favorite scene is. We'll probably maybe get to it, but I like the scene because the shooting, like the tussle happens. Someone fires a gun. Like we kind of know. Oh, Julie's got hit.
Yeah,
like for sure. Like it's kind of like off the side, whatever. But it's not like directly shown, right? So which I think is kind of a weird, interesting editing choice.
What they do, they show them fighting, and then they cuts back to her, and she just kind of like she raises her hand, and she has a bloody hand, right?
Yeah.
And that's all we see.
Yeah. So, and then like a series of events. So he ends up leaving both 52 and Julia there in this little spot. He goes to try to go to like his observation tower. And when he walks in, he's very cautious, right? He's very concerned that like he's going to be found out, right? Because he doesn't know what the situation is, right? But then he realizes that the communication specialist Vika is there, or that is part of the team in this. That they're clones, right? I mean, obviously he's had experience, but you have to maybe think something's different, right? But I love that he's still so apprehensive. And then he realizes that he poses no threat to her because she doesn't think anything's different. Anything's wrong. Like,
right.
I mean, he's got a freaking like scratch on his.
What happened? Oh, I just what was his excuse? Some half-baked excuse.
He's some ridiculous like, oh, I dealt with the scavenger or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And then he poses the same question, wondering if she is different because he sees the photo.
Yeah.
And so he said, "Will you come down with me today?" And she immediately goes into full on like robot mode. I thought we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Right? And I just love this scene of like him seeing how much everything's the same, but also like that maybe there was maybe no hope, or I don't know. There's something there. I don't know exactly if I can pick. What do you think?
I think maybe in another version of the screenplay we would have seen more of, or we would have been told more about Jack's natural inquisitive nature.
Yeah.
Right? That's something that cloning, they were never able to remove from him.
Yeah.
Right? Because Jack 49 and Jack 52 clearly have had this conversation numerous times with Vika.
Yeah.
with both Vicas.
Yeah.
To the point where she says, "We've already talked about this.
Yeah.
Like I won't go to the surface, right?"
She's not quite frustrated.
She's not quite frustrated either. It's just something that both Jacks have asked, right? And maybe there's something in his past. We don't see that. And maybe in the first draft of the screenplay there was that, and they had to cut that out.
Yeah.
And maybe they just focused on.
I think what they did is they went with like a show not tell, right?
Yeah.
You see his, you see 49's little secret bunker.
His bunker,
his home,
the fact that he's been growing a plant, right? Which works great to also show her side of being like, no, we can't have that in here, right?
Her rule book.
Yeah, her rule book. I love that because obviously they're showing that through these moments in the script that help the script progress. But it's really, again, going back, it's that his identity. You can't change no matter how many clones of Jack you make. He will, by nature, based on his experiences, based on his I
don't know.
Hold on, I have it right there.
Reach for the star. His predispositions?
No, his pre-memory loss.
Oh, okay.
That's always going to be there, and I think that's what makes his identity stand out in this movie. And it also just shows like the major theme of be true to yourself, right? Like
yeah, no, I think like that. For whatever happened to Jack in this world, for whatever he was chosen to be, this individual that would do what was necessary, that had the skill set that they needed.
Mm-hmm.
But he understood himself, and he followed who he was to such a degree that even when they cloned him, he would have these moments of wanting, like, of yearning,
curiosity,
of curiosity, right? Whereas Vika is almost the perfect.
The company woman, right?
Yeah. The
company person, and you see that as well, like in the choices of like her costume, right, and makeup and wardrobe. She's always looking her best. Her hair's done, makeup's on point, right? In this post-apocalyptic world where resources are limited, she's always looking her best, right? And that's this this facade that we later find out the AI has created, right? Of here's this promising world that we have for you. Here's all the resources that we have, and not Julia. Vika is the embodiment of that false hope, and it's sealed in that scene that you talk about, where he goes back. His Vika has died. He goes to her, to the new one, the other one, and he says, "Come with me," hoping, yearning that she will follow, hoping that maybe this Vika is different, right? But she's not.
Yeah.
And that's when he realizes everything has been a facade. Like she won't change. Not that the movie's saying that people don't change, but the movie's saying that Vika is the humanification of the AI.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about AI.
Let's do it. Ooh, AI.
I know. This movie almost feels so much better now.
Okay.
I don't know why. Like I don't know. There's maybe because AI has been it's now ingrained. It's now becoming more and more and more part of our world, and I mean, as a professional, because I'm in this space and it's impacting the things, some of the things that I do and whatnot. Like I'm consuming it, but I also am aware that like other individuals are like just barely finding out about some of this stuff and like trying to figure, which is just mind blowing to me. How does this movie compare? What is it about this movie that you feel does well or not well compared to some of the other movies that we felt we've seen, or even like particularly you and I went and saw with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning?
Yeah. Here's what I love about the depiction of this AI. It's which we see again, funny in Dead Reckoning, the similarities between the two.
Yes.
Now that you mentioned it, but what I love about this movie is the character of
Susan. Is that the AI general?
Yeah, the
commander or the
communications lady, right?
Yeah, chief or whatever. I think her name's Susan.
Is it Susan? I love her character. I love.
Okay,
not much of a character, but I love the depiction of it.
What about it?
It's the fact that this AI is using someone that they trust, someone that they look as a commander in their previous life, right? And in here.
Do we know that?
Yeah. Later in the movie, right? When we get the flashbacks, we see that. The idea that she's got this like quirkiness to her, this not quirkiness, but like this. It's a weird the saying of like are you still a sufficient or a good team, right?
Yeah.
And her accent as well.
You know what I love about? I think the actress who plays this character did a phenomenal job, like delivering what was like delivering it in such a.
Sally is her name.
Oh, Sally. Not Susan. Yeah. Sally. That like Sally's whoever the actress that did portray this. With the editing and like sound effect, that it feels human enough.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But it's not. But every single time you see her, it feels so. It's human enough, yet slightly
off.
Slightly robotic or methodical. That every single time, like when you see her and you have her come back on, even I'm watching it again. I'm always just like off. You're always slightly off put.
There's something off about her, right?
Yeah. You're like, this is a real person, right?
That's what it is.
And it's weird because like up until recently, like we never really had this idea. Like this movie, done in 2013. Okay. But literally today we have full on influencers that are AI generated by a team that they're leveraging technologies and AI to help create a narrative and create a thing that have been featured on Billboard, like in partnership sponsored brandy deals. Okay.
That feels almost human, but something's off.
When you first, like if you're not paying attention, you would think they're real.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about that we're in a place in our world that's what we have. And I think what not necessarily worries me, but like is that like what level is it that we find will we get to, are we trying to push to, are we looking to find what's good, what's human enough, or are we trying to make it human?
Interesting.
And this movie, I think, does a really interesting job of like, like this AI system has made itself human enough and has created a system to have control. But humanity in Jack, Jack, right? Yeah. Doesn't allow for it.
The experience, memories, the individuality of Jack doesn't allow it.
Yeah.
Which is what AI in this case and AI in real life will never have.
Yeah.
Right. And I like that you mentioned that. If we took like generative AI, a ChatGPT, right? And we tell it to write out an email for me, replying to whatever it is, it'll do it. It'll hit the beats. It'll hit the nuances and everything, right? But the human element of it, the human experience is lacking there. And that's what the movie does, right? The AI has progressed so much to the point where it almost destroyed humanity, right?
Yeah.
But it's but it's man's and humanity's resilience, shared experiences that overcome essentially.
Yeah.
And destroy the Tet. I want to talk about the unsung hero of this movie.
Ooh, oh, okay.
The delivery, the performance, its story arc. Drone 166, man.
Drone 166.
Drone 166 is probably like
It's a full character.
It's a full character, and just what a villain. Like,
okay, yes.
like he is menacing, and we'll talk about the sound design here. Incredible.
Okay, not only sound design, but the soundtrack.
M83, so good,
dude.
Again, Joe Kosinski, having worked with Daft Punk on the soundtrack for whatchamacallit,
Tron
Legacy, decides to once again leverage an artist in the electric pop synth world to create the music, and it just hits so good.
Okay, what is it about the drone that makes him so menacing?
I was thinking about it this last rewatch. We're introduced to Drone 166. It's been taken out. He's in that stadium, and he has that little monologue about the Super Bowl, right? But he fixes it. So we this is the first drone that we see in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's taken out. It's not functioning. It's not working. But as soon as he gets it to work, it just like how it gets up in the air, it's just floating, and like even Jack finds a dog there, and he tells the dog to like get out, like it'll kill you.
Which is a small moment of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
That I think goes so unnoticed by, I think, I often forget about it. Like that little moment of this dog. Because you're like, wait, this is supposed to be like here to help. Why?
It's here to help, right? But why is our main character
telling this animal
to
leave?
Yeah.
Right. And so, which is just a great depiction of like, again, just foreshadowing, but like, it's so subtle.
Yeah. It's so subtle. And then like the when it just takes off, right? And he just leaves Jack there, right?
Yeah.
We don't see him again until he's the one that shoots down the surviving passengers.
Yeah.
Right? We see the other drone, the one that he oh no. We see him again when he falls into the museum library.
Yeah.
Whatever it was,
Yeah,
and saves him.
Yeah.
Right? But he's also still scared. And that's when we see the full power of this guy.
Yeah, no, just of the drones.
Of the drone, yeah.
Like, period. But like this drone particularly like comes in, and it's, we get him coming in and providing quote unquote backup. But even then, Jack is nervous.
Yep. Even then he's nervous.
Would he be nervous if it wasn't for Jack's character?
Oh, maybe. But even then, I think everyone knows, like everyone that's survived knows how threatening these drones are. And I'm sure Jack in past experiences has seen like the level of threat that they are.
I think, and then I think it's ample. I think part of it's human nature, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I think I was trying to think about this, but like this time, I was always surprised at how much he had to like. There was no distinguishing. It's scanned, and unless it had a special code or maybe the verbal confirmation, you were not safe.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And I love the fact that they didn't make these drones, that these drones are not like personable. They're literally they're designed for efficiency. They're just machines. They're not like, when you think of sci-fi films, often robots or drones or whatever you want, whatever is in these sort of realms, are often designed to almost like not replace, but like try to become integrated. That's not the case.
That's not the case here. Except, which I love this contrast. Once Jack becomes, is aware of what's happening, him and Julia go with the scavengers, and they tell him what really happened, and he's fixing their drone that they caught. It comes alive. It's panicking, and he tells them, "Hold on, you're put your guns down. You're making it more," and I believe he uses the word, "You're making it more agitated and afraid."
Yeah.
So I love the decision that the screenplay writers used to put afraid, an emotion. How can this thing be afraid?
Yeah.
Right? And then it isn't until he walks up to it and he almost pets it to calm it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
That scene's a really powerful scene. So what is it about for you that makes a scene so impactful for you?
The visual, the idea that a human, Jack in this case, reprograms this. But I don't think he went in and reprogrammed it to like have emotions. That's not it. It's the idea that a human hand was involved in the rebirth of this object, which then gave it, quote unquote, a sense of feeling, a sense of fear, a sense of let me pet you to calm you down. Right? I love that imagery, that metaphor in there. Going back to what you're saying, if we, as we humans, continue to leverage AI, but leverage it in a humane, moral way, we continue to keep our humanity, but we're able to inject some humanity as well into these efforts.
Now that you've brought this up, I'm back to the two differences. Jack fix 116, and it immediately jets up, looks around, scans. Okay, when they do the reprogram or whatever, it is panicking.
Yeah,
like there is a sense of not only it's panicking, but everyone else is panicking. It's a stressful situation.
Yeah.
Right, but there's not it. It is a level of like disorientation versus a switch.
Right.
Okay. And it's, I don't know. It's just, I love the way they designed these drones.
It's so cool.
I love that the eye has its own personality. Like we get the sound effects. We get this like sense of like, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
In a lot of different little moments with freaking 116.
It all culminates for me when him and Julia are flying in 116 or 166 along with two others.
Yeah.
Are chasing him, and 166 is in the middle, and you just know that he's out to get him. Like you feel it. And he, as they're flying, he looks over to the other two and he goes, and they like communicate. They send some kind of code to each other. Who knows what they're saying? But it's probably like, let's shoot this mother effer down. Like,
let's get this guy. He's been too much trouble.
Yeah, and just and then they go at him. I love that. It's so good. It's so good.
I love it. All right. All right, what are some of the ethical questions? Like, do you want? Well, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about.
There's a lot of stuff. I do just want to. Why do you think this movie? We'll close with this and then our favorite scene. Why do you think this movie? There's so many people that just I talk to that don't feel like they know about it. What is it that this is? In my opinion, this is Tom Cruise's most underrated blockbuster.
Yes. It's a good soapbox.
Why what happened? Why didn't it get the love that it should deserve?
That's a good question. I think part of it is that it's untraditional. Okay? A sci-fi movie that doesn't have like the largest wow factor.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a smart movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a smart movie. Is it a flashy movie? Absolutely not. Is it a great movie? 100%.
Yeah.
Is it a one-of-a-kind movie? Yes, 100%. And I think that this is a time when a lot was happening. Ender's Game came out this year as well.
Oh, okay.
I think that it became I think a lot of studios were trying to deal with implications of Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what the audiences were wanting. And this movie came out and it maybe didn't get enough marketing budget. Maybe it was just too, like, maybe the trailer just didn't, wasn't it.
Trailer.
It maybe, shot itself in the foot a little bit, right? In the story of like hooking some, audiences. It could also just be that, like, maybe Tom himself as an individual, like, they only think of him as Mission Impossible.
Yeah. After this, he went off to do Jack Reacher, right?
Yeah.
I think that's when he tried to branch out. Interesting. Okay.
Those are the things I think that for me, like, played the factor.
Yeah.
But I think what is super, I guess, before I go into my other portion of this, what do you think? What were the implications that may have caused? Why is it that people maybe don't? Oh, I love Oblivion.
Yeah. I think, and we talked about this at the beginning, right? The landscape that this movie came out was so unique with the big IP properties that studios had, post Avengers, pre Star Wars. I think there was so much commotion, so much noise that an original concept from a fairly new director who didn't provide the results that Disney wanted on Tron Legacy.
Even though I love Tron Legacy.
I love Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
hands down, I want more Tron in my life.
From Kosinski, which he's not coming back for the third one.
I know they're not, but sucks. it's
But anyway, like I think this movie just kind of went under the radar for a lot of people, even though you have a big name like Tom Cruise, right?
And Morgan Freeman,
right? I think the IP wars of 2013 were probably at its highest. Like, it was just a landscape of wrapping up Marvel, kicking off DC, Star Trek hitting in here, and so much more as well.
Yeah.
It kind of just went under the radar there for a bit.
I'm going to have a hot take. I think that this movie, as a series, would have destroyed at this time period.
I would love to see that, actually. Now,
look, all I'm saying is that this movie has a super strong, I think it would have a very strong win in a landscape like that. In a super, like, they script it for a serial episodic format with a really solid cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Even if they made this movie, they took the same movie but broke it into 2 seasons for, like, the completion of what this movie was.
Yeah.
Or they could do it the whole movie in the first season, but it has such a wonderful world that we could go another round because of the cloning. The idea of cloning, and, like, you could easily, like, explore that in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it hit so many themes with that concept. Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, if you had 20 minutes with Joe Kosinski to pitch a sequel, would it be a sequel or a series?
I would tell do a series.
Yeah.
To me, like, it's such a great what he did with the world, what we could do now with technology and whatever. I think could be really beneficial for a series format for this, just because the concept's really good. You could explore the ideas that he has in these concepts in a really great and even more impactful way. Like, they would hit harder, honestly. Because I think that part of what the struggle with this movie has is that because it's a film, cinematography is beautiful. The movie, the pacing is pretty good. There is times where it's just a little too long.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just the transition from the movement to the next kind of, like, kind of like arc to kind of move the thing along is just a little too slow. It's not bad. It's not like it doesn't disrupt my experience.
No.
But it's there.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite scene?
Okay, I think I have two favorite scenes.
Okay.
I think I love the exploration bicycle scene.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think part of it's like, one, they were just having fun.
Oh yeah.
I think the world building about this, like what Tom got to do and the team got to do in Iceland, I think was like it just felt like it felt so Tom, but at the same time felt Jack. This is Jack's character just resonate with life, and he loved the ability to go out and do what he needed to do.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about that was really awesome. I love the juxtaposition / like weird memory thing that's happening when they're going to the space station.
Oh, when they're going at the end of the movie.
Towards the end of the movie when they're going to go blow up the AI.
I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, what's
happening?
What's happening?" Right?
I think even now, I still have to like. I don't know if I fully.
It's different. It's interesting the cuts that they made in that edit.
It is
going back and forth and not really giving you the full explanation, right?
I think I need to rewatch it again, honestly. Just because, I think part of it is because I think coming into this pod for watching it, I think I was thinking about the whole movie in its entirety.
Yeah.
I feel like I really want to go back and see this movie as an editor.
Okay.
There's something about this movie as an editor that I think is really strong and powerful. There's a lot to learn from. I don't know if it's like the best edited film.
Yeah.
I would say no.
No. Yeah.
But it's one that I want to think about. Maybe you do a little research on like if there's anything out there of like anyone talking about this, the way they edited this film, because I would really want to know some of their thought processes and stuff that went into this stuff.
Yeah.
What's your favorite scene?
I love that final moment where it's cutting back between the present day and the past, and like we see, oh, that's everything that happened. That's how Vika got stuck with him, or Tom got stuck with her. But I this time, going back to the drones, it isn't drone 166, but when he goes back, or when he finds Julia and he goes back to the Sky Tower, and what's her face? Vika won't let him in. I love just like the tense intensity of that scene.
Yes.
And how he's telling her like, let me in. And then Sally says, "Are you still an efficient team?" And she says, "No." Right?
Dude. And that is a beautiful scene.
It's a beautiful scene. But what seals it for me is that then they
send
the TET sends an alarm, or it awakens the drone that he's working on in his little shop. And like, I love the use of the camera, and I want to like.
We'll do a scene breakdown.
We'll do a scene breakdown of this one,
and it'll be on our Patreon. But
like the camera pans out, and you have a wide shot of her looking through the wall, the glass wall.
Yeah,
he's outside, and it comes down to show you the drone that's in his little workshop, and then it just the gate opens, and then it cuts, and then the drone later comes out. There's like a curtain, and some kind of draping, and it just like it almost feels horror like, because it's this villain that you don't see. It's hiding behind the curtains, and then it just like.
But it's like a profile shot.
It's a profile shot
because you're following her. You're following Vika, and you would think that like, this scene's great. You would think that like it would cut. You would see Jack, but you're like, no, Vika.
Yeah, exactly.
No, run. Why? Go away.
Go away. Even though like Vika is this company woman that you just kind of like, come on, man, just go to the surface. You still are.
You hurt for her. You care for her.
You care for her. Yeah, that's what it is. And I just love that. Like it, and it's in slow motion. It's a great use of slow motion, and then it just starts shooting. I love that scene this time around. It's brutal. It's filmed so beautifully, and it has these. I don't know, because we did a whole month of like horror movies, but it has this like horror element to it.
No, 100%. And I think this is part of the thing where like I feel like this movie, like pacing wise,
I
think struggled because like they have these little moments just like that all throughout the movie that like I feel like to some degree, and maybe it's because we do feel this more because of the way they did it. I don't know, but that scene is really strong. I remember I didn't write any notes, but I remember taking a mental note of how much this scene was so tense, so interesting. Because why is Vika the one getting punished as well?
Right.
What is it about Jack that AI has with Jack? And like, why Vika first?
Well, I think because Jack was outside, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I think it went into like kill
mode, and it was like,
right?
okay, well, humans.
Who's the first one?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. I love it. It's such a great scene. I love this movie. It really is like one of my like, I wouldn't even say guilty pleasures, but it's just one of those like sci-fi's like movies that not many people talk about. But for me, it hits. It's up there. It's up there.
It
like,
hits for sure.
Top 10 sci-fi for me. Top 10 for me. I'm gonna say it. Top 10.
I was trying to decide if I wanted to go top 5, but I think I have too many I have to sit through.
We have a couple of top 5.
All right, folks.
Well, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. We would love it if you could subscribe on whatever platform you get your podcasts, or if you're on YouTube and you're watching. Again, if you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to leave a review. It really does help us get discovered.
Well, what do you think of Oblivion? What do you think we missed? What is something we touched on that you have even better insights on? Please leave it down in the comment section on YouTube, or by following us on social at Reel Chums and joining the conversation there. You can also just email us, you're@reelchums.com, and we will get back to you or include it in the show. And so because it's a conversation here. We want you to be our chums like we think of you.
Exactly. Join us next week. We're going to be discussing Creed 3.
Yeah, we had this on the docket when it first came out, but we just got crazy busy.
We got busy. We didn't get to it, but really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I love Rocky and Creed. Period.
I've not watched all the Rockies, I'm going to tell you right now, but I love Creed.
Oh, really? Maybe we'll do that for like Patreon. We'll go through like all the Rockies.
Yeah. I mean, I like Rocky, but there's something about Creed that I just I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really great.
It's really good. So make sure you watch it and tune in next week
to join the conversation then.
We'll see ya.
Bye.